So I just woke up from my nap, which was very lovely. I did my spiritual Sundays reading, and then I went on Instagram for like a second. And all this stuff about dating keeps coming up. I don't know why, but okay. And which reminded me to go ahead and do my video about. It's not going to be part of the NSFW series where I usually put those. This is going to just be about, in general, how to learn to be lonely and embrace singlehood, right? Um, as you grow up, uh, when you're a kid, right? When you're a child, you know, if we're gonna use a heterosexual dynamic, because I'm not gay, so I don't want to speak to that experience, in terms of attraction and dating because I'm straight. So, I'm gonna speak to it from my perspective. Do I have a clippy? I don't have a clippy. I need a clippy. Oh well, I'm sorry. I'm not used to my hair down, but whatever. I feel like it's kind of messy, but it's okay. We'll make do. Because I want to look presentable. I do have a heating pad on me because it's my time of the month, and my uterus is going crappy, 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 crappy. Um, I wanted to talk about, yes, embracing singlehood, learning to be lonely, navigating dating, like, well, being, or just navigating life while being single, right? Because in life, especially on Instagram, especially on YouTube, there's so many people who create content that are either married, or people are couples, or and it's cute. Some of the things are really cute. Some people are actually super creative, and I like to see what they put. Like, some are couples that do content creation together. um like, there's this one couple, and it's super funny. Their daughter's name is Brielle, and I don't know what their, I should know this. Oh, Hannah Bree. I think it's Hannah Bree or something like that. Her husband, it's so funny. They dress up. He dresses up like they put these like long nails on him, and then she's like, I think she's currently pregnant if I'm not mistaken. And she I think films it, but he has these really long nails, and he just he it's they record him doing daddy daughter playtime, and he's like, what you want, girl, what do you want, and like, it's just really funny, and they go all out, and he pretends to like have the cash register, and he's like, okay, here's your order, okay, okay, and it's cute. Like, that's cute content, but and I'm sure they talk about their everyday life. And then there's another couple that does content too. They both look Hispanic. She's very voluptuous. She's like longer hair. um and they put really funny stuff out, and they're very candid too. So some of the stuff I do like to watch. And then, but if you're not someone who is okay with your singlehood, you're gonna see that and be like, oh, I wish I had someone to do that with. That would be so much fun. Or look, they get to talk about their relationship. And because a lot of people do that, they put up videos of themselves with their spouse, or or they prank their boyfriend or their girlfriend. And it's you can look at that and be like, oh, how cute. Or if you don't have good coping skills, like mental health coping skills, you can be like, man, this sucks. Um, let me tell you, it took me a long time to finally be okay with being alone, um, and not coming from a place of desperation. I think Kendall Jenner said something really well. I forgot where I first heard the quote, but she says, I don't, I attract, I don't chase, or I don't chase, I attract. So that energy is like, you don't, you're not desperate, you're not needy. If a guy doesn't write you back, it's not the end of the world. I used to take it like, honestly, I used to be like, if a dude did not write me back within like at least that same day, I was like, oh my God, what a dick, whatever. Now I'm just like, okay. I'm like, thanks for showing me who you are. Um, and then I was watching another video just recently, and the lady was talking about how to weed out the guys who are like high value versus the guys who aren't. The high value man, it's about pattern, right? She mentioned something too called the slow fade energy. There's also guys who just want to vibe and say, oh, I just want to see how it is, and we're vibing or whatever. It's so funny. It's just the way things are today with men. It's like you want men to step up to the plate and be like the gentleman, right? And also too, now here's the flip side of it. I think come across men who are gentlemen and or not gentlemen, they try to exude that energy of being a gentleman, but they either come on too strong or it's super painstakingly obvious that they are trying to come off as this like high value persona, and you can tell that it's inauthentic. Like you can tell they're trying to win you over, right? By and that's really off-putting too. It's unattractive. It's like meeting a man who's self-assured but not overly cocky and arrogant. The man who respects all people, not just you, right? They don't they don't try to assume this air of like, like, oh, I'm the cat's pajamas, I'm the bee's knees, you need to date me because I have my shit together. No, it's you're not trying to sell yourself, right? Like the thing is, like the man who tries to, or even a woman like as me, if I'm trying to sell myself to someone like, hey, I love to do yoga, I did dance, I started a YouTube channel, and I do card reading, and giving them, trying to flatter, make paint myself in this light, right? If you have to do that to somebody, you know one, it shows that you're not confident in yourself and you're treating yourself more like a sales promotion than a person. And you never should try to actually sell yourself. Like you should try to it should happen organically, right? Because I feel like I've been on the receiving end of men. Like literally, I remember one guy, first man who has brought me flowers in ever, really, right? But it almost felt like when I first met him, it just seemed too like obvious that he was trying to, hi baby, to make like a connection, right? Like he brought the flowers, which I was like, that was very nice. But, you know, I remember he had his dog, which I thought about it after, and he brought his dog over to my apartment, and which at the end of the day, I thought at first I didn't think anything of it, but I'm like, what if my dog didn't get along with your dog? I think he was trying to make himself seem like he would be a good partner for me, like full time. And he even like mentioned like, oh, like we talked about like cooking because he said he liked to cook. So he's like, oh, I'll even do the dishes, like I'll clean the dishes for you. So he was trying to go above and beyond, right? So it's interesting. It's almost like the man in the middle, right? Like you have to be, and this is a dating tip, if you're a man watching this, please take this to heart. You don't want to be overly like confident or overly like needy or overly make yourself seem like you're the bee's knees and why you should win over like every other guy. No. I think if you are confident in yourself, that'll show in the natural progression, in the organic progression of talking and whatnot. Um, if it's anything else, like it's gonna be like it'll crash and burn. I'll be honest. And women, we're very intuitive. We can pick up on that really, really, really fast. Like whether a guy's being disingenuous or inauthentic, you know. Um, so yeah. But what I really wanted to come on here and talk about was embracing singlehood. What does that look like as a woman, at least for women, or a man too? You could say it, but it really is geared more towards women. Um, and I'm going to be honest, right? Especially be mindful when you're ovulating, ladies. Please be mindful of be mindful of your hormones, because your lady parts, your brain, is going to send out signals of we need to get laid, we need a man, because your body literally is craving that, right? So you have to be mindful of that. Be mindful about it. Um, but what I more so wanted to talk about was, how do you cope with that? Like, how do you cope with being single in a world where we're just bombarded, like, where companionship, the movies that come out, the books that come out, um, everything that just, you're surrounded by that, right? Love, romance, dating, marriage, da da da, whatever. Maybe you have a family member who's breathing down your back and asking you, hey, have you dated anyone? When are you gonna have kids? Or when am I gonna have grandkids? Oh, I know someone I could set you up with. Oh, you should definitely, no, I don't want to be set up with anybody. Um, and I think I've done a pretty good job of cultivating my peace within myself, because the thing is, and forgive me, I'm just gonna I'm gonna multitask because I did my spiritual Sunday reading about an hour or so ago, because I went to sleep, maybe it was like at 6 and now it's 7:40, so I was up like at 7:30, and I need to make dinner soon. um, but when a woman is at peace with herself, a man is going to have to do a lot to step up his game in terms of dating, right? Because you're not, and I literally just heard this guy on Instagram say it, it's not going to be you, like a man doesn't have to worry about the girl talking to 5 other guys. It's going to be the man against the woman's peace. Because when a woman knows herself, like, I know what I want, I know what I deserve, and I'm not gonna, I used to, when I got breadcrumbs, I used to be like, oh my God. I used to be like, oh my God. I used to foam at the mouth. I used to over explain. I used to whatever. Now I'm just very candid. I'm very organic. I'm very transparent. It's with men, it's super simple. It's like, if they like you, let me just, a little side tangent tidbit. If a man likes you, they will show interest in you. It's easy peasy. If they're not texting you, if they're not, now here's the difference. If it's a hookup situation, that's different, right? Friends with benefits is very different. And this is, I'm talking applying, if you want a real connection with somebody, like you want to date, right? I'm not talking like, oh, you're cute, like, do you want to hook up? But even in friends with benefits, though, I will say, like, you want to have some sort of rapport and friendship and chemistry, and there is some texting there. It's less exclusive. You can talk to other people. Um, there's no really commitment. It's just different, right? So I would say that, like, this is advice going from, like, if you were dating for, like, marriage, if you're dating with intention, right? Um, right. So essentially, like I said, you're not competing against all the other, um the men in her life. You're competing against her peace. Because imagine if a woman has her shit together, right? She knows what she wants. She has a head on her shoulders. In terms of pleasure, if she wants to, she's not going to go seeking physical intimacy. She can, but she can get the job done herself, in whatever way that could be, whether it's self pleasure, whether it's toys, whatever. Um, I don't own any of that, by the way. I don't have any sex toys. Maybe I should. I don't know. Um, and so my point is, she's not going to tolerate the wishy-washiness, the indecisiveness, the inconsistency. She's just going to slowly remove herself and detach herself. And I think I've gotten really good at that, at not being cold-hearted or rude or jaded, but I'm just like, okay, that's okay. I'm just going to, whatever. And if someone, go, because what happens too is, I've noticed some men go ghost and then they come back, which is called zombieing, right? Please, don't entertain that. Because if they couldn't treat you right when they first got to know you, because they had like a whole roster of other women, bro, like, don't do that. It's not worth it. Your self-worth is not worth that, like, one dude who's like, has giving you like mixed signals and doesn't know what he wants. And if he's like in his 30s, like 33 to 35, and he still can't figure, bro, there's therapy. If the guy has parents, he could talk to his parents, he could talk to his homeboy, his best friend. So no, I just think it's once you reach your 30s, there should be a level of maturity that men automatically, like, it should be like, no, you're 30, 31, level up, because there are wonderful women, I'm sure, waiting out there, who are waiting to be courted and seduced and wooed. And you have men these days who can't hold a conversation. The women have to carry the conversation. Um, they have a lack of respect. There's inconsistency in communication. So it's like, imagine having really good women, like wife material women, at least girlfriend material women, and these mediocre men who are giving the bare minimum. And when I mean bare minimum, it's like, hey, how are you? You know, the one text, the once, you know, it's sad because the woman is ready to elevate. The woman is ready to look for her match, her vibrational match, her partner. And there's people over here just like where, like, oh, that's cute, you know. No. So, and what I mean when it comes to singlehood and embracing singlehood, being single is not a bad thing. I don't think. You can work on yourself. You can cultivate yourself and become the person you want to be. You can engage in activities that are, you know, um, like food for your soul, right? Like, let's say I'm not in a big city right now, so I can't really say, like, oh, I want to go to do a trial class of Orange Theory Fitness. Orange Theory, I think, is a great way to meet people. You do, like, you're all in the same boat together, right? It's this really arduous, like, heart pumping workout, and it's goal oriented, right? So I don't know if they do partnerships like team where you team up with another person, but I do know that they have, like, it's from someone, a coworker of mine who did it before, and she loved it. She lost a lot of weight too. It's amazing, a lot of weight doing Orange Theory, or CrossFit. You know, go to a CrossFit class. There's so many things you can do, and there you might actually meet people, which I'm kind of bummed out because I'm kind of like I would have loved to done a fitness class or a dance class or something and met people the organic way. Because dating apps, it's rough unless you're like a, no pun intended, a diamond in the rough, or a man would be like a, I don't know, what's an equivalent of a diamond in the rough, like a stallion, right? A white horse or like a dark horse stallion kind of thing, you know, coming in like, hey, I got you kind of thing. Um, it's, yeah, I mean, in the dating pool, it's hard. It'll be hard. Um, but I think what's beautiful about being alone is, one, it could be scary, right? Because I'll be honest, there's nights where I'm like, man, I'm not gonna be like, oh, I'm a super strong, like hyper independent woman. I don't need a man to be whatever. There are some things I'm like, oh my gosh, I wish there was a dude around for this. Like the chair, there was a screw that was loose in the chair, and I didn't really know how to do that. Something happened with a dryer vent a few months ago, and like it would, if I had a dude here, I'm sure he was like handy and he can fix that. Um, Obviously for sex, you know, like I've never used a sex toy, but I'm sure women, they have those things. Um, but when you have sex, it would be nice to, you know, when you have a male counterpart to do that with, because it's the real thing. You're not having sex with like a rubber silicone toy that you stick up in your orifice or whatever. You're actually, it's a person, right? So there's that, or, you know, or like times where like I felt like my safety was compromised, and it would have been nice to have like the protect. I'm being honest, like, because I'm pretty independent, like, or I say self-sufficient. It would be nice to have like the boyfriend who's not doting and like, oh, I'm gonna fix, no, but like the dude that's like, if you fuck with my person, I'm gonna like fuck with you back. You know, like don't fuck with my girlfriend because I will like fuck with you back kind of thing, you know? Like the kind of guy who, when you're walking down the street in a sidewalk, he's the kind of guy that will walk, not to put him in harm's way. I'm just saying if he's a gentleman, he'll walk, because this kind of behavior, just so you get an idea, this is the kind of behavior that demonstrates how he'll be as a father, right? So the man that will, or when you, if you have a daughter one day, how he's going to treat his daughter, right? He'll walk on the side of the street where the cars are so that you won't ever get hurt. That's what a gentleman would do. Um, you know, so there are some things that I will say, there are perks of that. Um, but as a person, if you're single and you're, you know, you're by yourself and you're like, oh, but I would love to have a boyfriend. I would love to have just a partner, someone to have fun with and be, you know, have casual sex with, which is true. I'm not gonna lie. Like there are benefits. I think to this day, I still have yet to find to have had a successful friends with benefits situation. Um, you know, I don't know. It almost feels like sometimes it's like you have sex and then either the person starts to slowly fade away or detach, or like, or it's interesting. Like you have sex and it's like, okay, and maybe, and that's where, if that does happen, maybe, and if it is a friends with benefits thing, maybe it could be something related to the sex. I don't know. Maybe that's where you have to ask the person, hey, I thought it was really good. Is there anything like on your, like, that could be better? And maybe share or whatever, vocalize, because, and some guys are afraid, they don't want to hurt a woman's feelings, so they'll just, pull away. Or maybe there's incompatibility or incongruencies. That's why it's good. I always say, like, for me, I have discussions before I do anything with someone, because I want to make sure I'm on the same page as them, because to prevent something like that happening, like this, the slow fade, you know. Um, but going back to the singlehood thing, there's nothing wrong with being single. It doesn't make you any less of a person. Um, and don't rush, because what's going to happen is, if you rush the dating thing, you're going to end up with the wrong person, and you're going to settle for what you really don't want. But it's like that song with Olivia Rodrigo. She says, because how could I ever trade something that's good for what's right? So hear what I said again. So how could I ever trade something that's good for what's right? Meaning, like, she stayed in the relationship with the person that she didn't want. She didn't want to leave because she was comfortable, right? How many people, and it's, you wonder how many people stay with the wrong person out of fear for being alone. How could I ever trade something that's good for what's right? I would never want to be in that position. I would rather fly solo and be alone. And it's funny, one of my cards actually mentioned this. It said solitude somewhere. I don't know. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. It said solitude in here. And that's hard. Let me tell you, it's hard being alone. It is sometimes, because especially, let me tell you, after, I now understand why people like sex so much. I didn't get it before. To be honest, I was like, why are people like bras, lingerie, touching? Like, why? Like, I don't get it. Like, I felt like it was slutty, it was sinful. And I'm like, oh my gosh, the power of human touch, it's life changing. Like, literally, to get a hug from somebody, to be kissed by somebody, whether it's tenderly or passionately, whether it's like on the lips or on the forehead or on your neck. I mean, it really, it does something to the brain. Obviously, it produces oxytocin, right? The bonding hormone. But it feels really good to be desired, to be held, to be admired and loved in that way, right? But also, too, having someone share your bed with you, like hold you and keep you close. There's like, I can't, I'll be honest, sometimes the intimacy that comes from cuddling is so much more powerful and desirable to me than the actual part, you know? Because it's like, you're skin to skin with somebody, you're naked, you're vulnerable. If you're naked, I don't know, you're vulnerable. And there's something so beautiful about that, and organic and natural. And it's really sad, especially like when you have these men out here who, they're offering up these experiences, but then when it comes to it, when it comes to the emotional part, right? When it comes to the part about building that emotional intimacy and vulnerability, it's like, boop, even honestly with friends with benefits too, like I've had it, it's almost like people are afraid to, like they're not afraid of having sex or fucking, but they're afraid of being intimate, which I don't understand why. Because if you have a good connection with somebody, like, explore that. If God presents a person on your path whom you have a good connection with and a rapport, and it's honest and genuine, and you're a man, let's say you're a man listening to this, and you have a woman in your life who you could see a possible future with, but because you have commitment issues, because you're scared of what other people might think of you if you date that person, because who knows, a lot of families, culturally speaking, there is a lot of pressure. Like, let's say for people that are Jewish, they usually, the families want them to partner up with someone like a Jewish woman, right? If they don't, it's called a shiksa, right? Or if you're of Indian descent, they want you traditionally to marry someone in arranged marriage who's also Indian, right? Or Pakistani, or what have you. So that could be another factor. But to me, it's going back again to singlehood. There's so much you can do. I mean, and think about how you can cultivate yourself to be the kind of person that would be one day good wife material or spouse material. Because you see a lot of people out here who are dating who are not healed yet, right? They haven't done the therapy, they haven't done the inner healing, the inner child healing, the shadow work, the everything, right? Because what happens is if you're not a healed person and you enter into a partnership with another unhealed person, what's going to happen is that dynamic is going to basically, you're going to end up projecting your own fears and insecurities on the other person. You're going to develop a codependency because you're going to expect that person to heal parts of yourself that are unhealed, right, by your parents or whatever, you know, feelings of inadequacy, um, whatever, shame, embarrassment, stuff like that. So, yeah, I think that's why I always say you want to be two wholes coming together versus two halves. And is it to say, oh, but so you're saying that I shouldn't date until I'm healed? No, I'm saying build your self-awareness. And while you're single, focus on that. There's podcasts, there's audiobooks, um there are YouTubes on TED Talks with there's people who are like mental health therapists who are offering up their advice for free on numerous podcasts or numerous YouTube channels. I mean, just, look, BetterHelp offers therapy at like a discounted price now. There's so many, there's Talkiatry, there's Talkspace, there's Rula Health, I think it's called Rula Health. There's so many avenues now to get mental health help. And let me tell you, I think relationships there, I think the rate of divorce would be a lot less if people went into partnerships where they're like, because, okay, so here's a perfect example. You're an unhealed person, you're avoidant or anxious attachment, right? Let's say the woman. The man is a player who has commitment issues, who, likes having options, right? But then the player meets the whatever, the unhealed, anxious attachment, whatever. There's already going to be a discrepancy in the dynamic, right? The anxious avoidant girl is going to be like, oh, but I like you, and then she's going to develop the codependency on the person, right? Already, because she's going to be like, oh, I need you, whatever, and then the player is going to come in and be like, he's going to love bomb and give her what she wants just for a little bit, and then he's going to slowly start to pull back. He may like her, but he's going to be like, this is like too much, like I'm already feeling it too much too soon, and he's going to pull back, right? And then she's going to go, no, 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 right? And then you create this situationship, you create this unhealthy, codependent dynamic that's going to go nowhere, right? But you have the anxious avoidant person who decides to say, hey, I'm going to work on myself and I'm going to be single and I'm going to focus on how to feel comfortable in my skin alone and maybe fill the voids or nurture and tend to the parts of myself that were not healed because of maybe type A controlling parents or maybe neglectful parents for that matter, right? Or high pressure parents who put pressure on their kids to excel and get good grades and whatever it may be, right? And then, so that person goes, right? I'm just giving a scenario. That person goes to the therapy, they do the inner healing work. Meanwhile, Mr. Player over here is like, he's scouting around the field. He's like, I can't find, he's hooking up. He's like, okay, this is good sex. But she's not really someone I could see myself. Like, I'm not feeling the vibes. Meanwhile, other person over here is doing the work. And then he's like, oh, I remember this chick. Like, and then, other chick she's doing well, right? She's cultivating herself. He's like, oh, I want to enter back into her space. But here's the thing. Here's what happens. Because Mr. Player, whatever, was avoidant and didn't want to engage with the girl who seemed too needy and had too many problems or anxious, whatever, and he pulled back and he didn't show, because what happened is you could, if you're a gentleman, right, if you do have respect, I'm sorry, these look like little puppets, like little, but because you weren't a gentleman, what happened was she pulled back and she's like, maybe, because the connection dies off, the communication wanes, so both people part ways, right? But while they parted ways, she made the conscious effort decision to say, hey, you know what? I'm not really where I'm at or where I like to be, and I want to be better so I can start attracting the right men. Now this guy starts to see that the person's like, hey, she's starting to value herself and respect herself. I like that. That's attractive. I want to come back and no, he won't be able to because she's going to be vibing high and embracing, right? This is the crazy part, embracing her singlehood, he won't be able to touch her because she's not going to accept the bare minimum anymore. She's not going to accept the breadcrumbing, the benching, the ghosting. And she might, and mind you, here's the crazy part, she might not even have anyone in her orbit. She might not even have anyone in her roster. But because she chooses herself and values herself and embraced her singlehood, she's good on her own, right? So it's going to take a lot for that man to have to step up to the plate and meet her where she's at, right? So it's an interesting, there's so many dynamics and situations you can talk about, but more so I feel like if you're a single person, use that time to focus on yourself and don't entertain people who are just time fillers, like, time wasters or fillers. And they're just gonna, and here's the thing now, on the flip side of it, if you are going to just seek companionship, casual companionship, that is a little bit more lax, right? That is going to be, you're still you're basically single. You're not looking for commitment. You're not looking for a solid relationship. And that's fine. Like, I'm at the point where I'm just like, is the person who they say they are? Honestly, that's where I'm at. Is the person who they say they are? Because if they're not, I'm done. And I don't know why I have a theory that men take on a whole different persona and they make a different profile and whatever because they're really cheating and they have a girlfriend and they have to, like, they want to hide it. So they catfish you in the sense, either they'll lie about their job, they'll do a fake name. They won't want to get your number, which is okay because, sometimes you don't know, giving your number out could be dangerous and sketchy. So, yeah, interesting stuff. But I would say enjoy that singlehood, because let me paint a picture for you too, because I've had it where I've gone on dates or I've brought men back here to my apartment and I already see myself, I'm like, oh my god, like, what if I, like, date them long term? What would that look like? And I'm already like, but my peace of mind, I'm like, my peace of mind, like, I love to sing around the house sometimes, or I love to dance around the house sometimes, like, then I'd have to work, then, because once you have another person in your life, it's not just you anymore. You have to factor in that person's feelings, their schedule, their family, their goals, their finance, everything, right? So, and if you're like me, I'm the kind of person, I like to cook for other people. I like to, if I had someone else's clothes and they were dirty, I wouldn't mind washing them. So, it's your life changes. Um, so for me, I look at it like, I don't know, you have to be ready mentally, emotionally, everything, physically, and to say, oh, but like I said before, do I need to be healed to date? The right man will nurture and tend to your soul. If you have, like me, if you've been affected by, if you've had PTSD, anxiety, different, whatever, and he knows you went through trauma, he's not going to contribute and add more trauma to your life. He's going to add color. He's going to add care, compassion, right? Not go overboard, but he's going to, do what he can to make you feel safe, right? The wrong guy is going to add more trauma. He's going to add more anxiety. The right guy is going to lift you up. Just like anything in life, he's going to lift you up. He's going to make you feel right. He's going to not say all the right things to get sex out of you, whatever. It's just going to be intrinsic and innate to who he is, right? Because you can have some men who offer the bare minimum, who are like, okay, I'm just gonna give her enough attention so she sticks with me, right? And then you have the other side where people are like, oh, I'm gonna prove to her I am the end all be all, I am the bee's knees, and they'll love bomb you, they'll do whatever to make it seem like they're the viable option, when really they're just trying to, like, you know, I don't know, latch onto you or cling to you or seal the deal, so to speak, because they, it could be control issues, it could be fear of abandonment on their part. You want someone who's secure and whole in themselves. Even if you're doing a casual friends with benefits thing, still the same thing. Because you can meet a loser who might say, like, oh yeah, I like you and I want to be friends with you, but he might just see you as literally just a fuck. And you don't want to be that. Like, even if you're just going to do casual sex, because some people, they're like, hey, yeah, I just want to hook up. No, be picky. And that's not high maintenance. That's not high standards. You value yourself. It's so easy. Authenticity, honesty, communication. It's not that hard. And I feel like we've made it so hard because I know dating apps, I will say the landscape of that environment can be a bit unforgiving because you can match with a bunch of people, you have a bunch of different people that you're talking to, and then it just, like it can be very almost too casual, too transient, right? Because you have all these people that you can talk to and have all these options, and you can be very, not loosey goosey, but very too casual with them. Um, But to me, it's not rocket science. You treat people with respect, you follow up, you communicate, you're consistent. Anytime a man shows inconsistency, it's because A, he's understood, or B, he has something else going on. There's no other, like, that's why for me, I don't even bother, bro. I don't even bother anymore. I used to. I used to be like, oh my God, why is he, like, not texting me back? The sex was, like, really good. And no, I'm like, bro, no. Like, I'm not gonna even bother. Like, you know so, and that was when I was wanting maybe like something more than a friends with benefits thing. Some things you have to be mindful. Don't forget, like if you do, like on Tinder, there's a thing. I wish Tinder had long-term fun, because the short-term fun here, okay, another little tidbit, it kind of goes with singlehood. Be mindful when it says short-term fun, obviously it means intimacy and sex, right? But make sure you delineate and you talk about, what does that mean? Like, does it mean a one night stand? Does it mean like a week or 2 weeks or a month? Because you can be left with, like, for my example, like for recently, I recently got together with someone, and it was I'm not gonna lie, like it was really good. um and he lives in another part of the world, right? So he says, you could be totally catfishing me. It could be totally like a sham. But from what he told me, and I know that it's funny because it said something about keep your dating life private. No, I'm doing a dating blog to help other women, right? Consider it like the Cosmopolitan of, but like a real life Cosmopolitan magazine article. But I'm living it, right? So you can listen, and I'll share my stories with you. I don't mind doing it because I don't mind being vulnerable, because if I get to help people and prevent sour patch kind of relationships, then I will be a happy camper. Because I want ultimately would love people to find their soulmate and find their soul partner, right? How lovely would that be, that everyone finds true love in their life? That would be amazing. Less divorce, more happy families. Yay! So, I don't mind sharing my experiences. But recently, yes, I did have an experience with someone where we did discuss, like, because he lived whatever, and he did say these are like, I don't plan on being here long. Maybe I'll be here, again in the future. But the intimacy was really, really good. I have to be honest. Like, he's probably up there with one or two other people that I really like. The sex was like, if I could have sex like that for the rest of my life, bro, like, I'm good. um So, and maybe you're not like me. Maybe you're like, I don't really care about that. You care so much. You're too into sex. You're too hypersexual. Need I remind you, I was 32. I waited a long ass time. So cut me some slack. I don't really care what you think. I'm giving the perspective of a single 33-year-old woman. So you can have your judgments. I waited a long ass time. I'm talking, I'd never been touched. I would get excited when a waiter, there was a restaurant in Miami called Prima Pasta, and there was a really attractive waiter that we had. And I don't know if he was from Italy, but he would come across, and in serving, there's this thing called a crummer, where basically it's a little golden, like, doohickey that looks like a ruler, but it's curved, and you just crumb the table. This is when I talk about how inexperienced I was. I would get turned on by seeing I just laugh because it's funny. Seeing the guy's forearm, it was very muscular, like, and he would come across and just ever so gently scrape the breadcrumbs. I was like, you know, that's how inexperienced I was. So if you're gonna be like, oh my God, all she talks about is sex, she's so horny. No, I'm glad. In fact, you know what? I'm glad my reproductive organs work, because that means that I'm fertile. that means that my brain is functioning, my hormones in my brain are functioning properly, and that my uterus is working. Because on the flip side, I could have endometriosis, because I've met people who've had endometriosis. Um, I could have perimenopause, which I don't, thank goodness. So I'm going to celebrate that. I'm going to celebrate my womanhood. I'm going to celebrate my femininity because I repressed it for so many years. And to be honest, and if you don't want to hear me talk, then maybe you shouldn't be on the channel, or maybe you shouldn't listen to it. Go listen to someone else who maybe you resonate more with, because I'm not going to be your cup of tea. If you're a woman listening and you're like, well, she says she's Christian, but she's talking about really like borderline risque pornographic material, why not? I never talked about it in my household, in my upbringing. I'm a innately curious person. I'm driven by curiosity. I love to know how things work. I used to look up in the sky and be like, what is the formation of that cloud? Um, how does, why is balsamic vinegar, why doesn't that mesh with the olive oil? Because there's called, um, what's it called? Old, is it not hypotonic? It's something oleophobic. I don't know. There's a special term for it. But my brain has always been like that. I've always been curious about the way things work, and I'm not going to apologize for that. So, and if I could help bring some sort of clarity to a woman who maybe, like I was, struggling to navigate herself and her place in the world, and being single and dating while being a woman of God, I will. And to be honest, I believe that God at the end of the day didn't create us to be like, oh my God, that's so gross. He created it, like we were created to enjoy that. So I'm not going to feel bad for it. Just wanted to put that out there. Um, but womanhood, singlehood, manhood, if you are a single man or woman, take the time to work on yourself. And don't be desperate when it comes. I did a whole thing about mental health tips when it comes to dating, but don't be desperate when it comes to dating, because men, like, they can smell that. Like, men can smell women that are desperate, and they'll use that. The wrong guy, the toxic guy, is gonna be like, oh, she's horny, she's desperate, I'm gonna go in, boop, I'm gonna go in and out. As quick as I went in, I'm gonna go right out. There are people who do that. So be mindful of that. Um, so yeah, that in that respect. But there's so many things you can do. And think of how, and I said this before in another video, would you want to date you? If you took yourself out on a date right now, as you are, maybe alone or whatever, would you want to sit down and have a conversation with yourself? Would you want to take yourself out on a date? Would you see yourself as someone like, man, I am wife material? And let me tell you, I couldn't say that before a year ago. 2 years ago, I couldn't say that. I didn't feel like it. And this is, and let me be honest, sex was also one of the reasons why, because to me, when you get married, and I'm sure married people, you know this, you're sharing your house, your space, your body, your mind, your soul with that one person, hopefully for the rest of your life. Hopefully, if you're monogamous and you're not polyamorous, you're going to do that. So with that, you want to be comfortable with in your skin, in your sexuality, right? You want to be able to pleasure your partner, right? You want to be able to say, hey, I'm comfortable with doing these things, right? So that's another reason why I was like, I want to be better at sex, or learn, feel more comfortable, because I look at it, it might sound silly, but as practice for the real deal. Like when the real guy comes along who's like, yeah, I'm gonna court you and only you, and I'm not gonna lead you on. I'm not gonna play games with you. I'm gonna say I like you, and I'm not gonna do anything. It's not transactional. I'm not gonna show you affection because I want you to go down on me and suck my thing, but because I actually genuinely like you. So I have taken the time to, one, I did the healing. I've cried a lot. I've had therapy where I get triggered a lot when I talk about my family. Um, Namely like my mom, because I was really close to my mom, and what my mom did really hurt me, because um, it was just like two different people. I went from having a mom who was like, and I cry about it because it like was perfect, and it's funny, it's Mother's Day, apropos, to having basically no mom at all. because I felt like I was gaslit by her and stuff like that. So, anyways, I don't want to lose track of what I was saying. Um, but yeah, like I did the healing, I did the therapy, I did all that. And I told myself I want to make myself to be the kind of person that I know would be a good partner for someone one day. That'll deserve me too. Um, and I'm not perfect, I come with baggage and stuff like that, but I've learned to handle that better. And I don't wear that on my sleeve anymore. I did update my Instagram thing. I said because it's true. I am more of a mental health advocate now. I am a survivor of trauma, and child life therapy and stuff. It always will be there. I appreciate the experiences and the knowledge that was imparted to me by certain people in that field. But I'm moving away from that, and I'm kind of moving more into like the advocacy aspect of mental health and stuff because it's hard. The narratives your mind tells yourself every day, what's going on inside your head is the narrative that you tell yourself, that's going to reflect outwardly in your external reality. So imagine, and imagine if you're dating and you're like, you yourself, you feel inadequate. A man will pick up on that, and the wrong man will use that and abuse it. The right man will be like, man, I know she's been through a lot, but you know, she wears her heart on her sleeve. She maybe has trust issues, like this as I'm describing myself, but but I'm gonna be willing to I'm gonna be willing to get to know her, because to me, I think having her, my life is better with her than without her, kind of thing. And the same thing could be said from my perspective with a guy, right? I have yet to really say, like, I didn't meet any guy who I'd say, man, my life is like better with him than without him. I have had connections where I do think it was kind of a trauma bond, to be honest, because I was going through a lot and I really wanted to feel a sense of safety and security and stability. And a man, because just men they're built different. The testosterone, the bronze, you know, the manhood, the cojones, it's different, right? Cojones are balls, by the way, in Spanish. Um, so yeah, um, it's you have to have self-awareness. I think that's key. And one thing I've noticed, the trend that I'm noticing while I'm dating with men, is that a lot of these men lack self-awareness or emotional intelligence, like EQ or maturity. And that is usually passed down by a father figure, right? Or some form of guardian or parental figure. It could even be a teacher. There's students, like when I went to New World, there were students who didn't have like a father in their life, but they had a some sort of mentor or like teacher in their orbit, in their space, right? Um, in their life. So they had some sense of guidance, to help them. But some men, they didn't have that, unfortunately. So they didn't learn proper interpersonal skills, communication skills, or coping skills, right? Or proper etiquette, for that matter. Like basic etiquette, like how do you treat a woman? Like, you hold the door open. If you're an old school gentleman, you hold the door open for the woman. You I mean, I don't, to be honest, and it sounds very Miley Cyrus, I can buy my own flowers, that whole thing. It's true though. Like, if a guy gave me flowers now, I'd be like, okay. I'm not kidding. I'd be like, oh, he wants something. I don't trust him. And that's sad because, like, I became so self-assured and self-sufficient that I'm like, I could literally buy my own flowers. What did you say? I can buy my own flowers. I can, I forgot the lyrics. I feel bad because it's a good song. Um, I could take myself dancing. I can hold my own hand. I can love me better than you can, and it's true. And you look at Miley Cyrus, and let me tell you, that girl has gone through a lot. Her life was so in the spotlight. All the Disney child stars, their lives were all in the spotlight. I feel bad for some of them because, like, look at like Amanda Bynes. I don't know what she's up to now, but like, it's a lot of pressure for Disney Channel stars and stuff. Um, but you do see this level of maturity, I think, in her. Like, you've seen this progression, the arc. She had her phase, like her the we can't stop, we won't stop. That we can't. It was, I forgot the name of the songs, but and then she grew from that, and now she's making like good music and stuff. Not that her music was bad before, but she's making meaningful, thought-provoking songs, right, with substance. Um, and it's okay. Everyone has a phase that they go through with stuff. So, um, ¿qué más? But yeah, I would say don't feel bad if you're single, and also to help yourself, because if you notice, like if you go on Instagram, if you go on these social media sites, if I encourage anything while you're single, develop self-awareness. And if you're a man too, there's nothing more attractive than a man who knows his flaws, who knows his weaknesses, and he's actively working on those to better himself. Oof. That's just me. I don't know. I just think that's so attractive. Like a guy's like, yeah, I went through this, whatever, a breakup, and or maybe he cheated. Maybe because sometimes guys, they do cheat. They fuck up and they cheat, and then the girlfriend breaks up with them, and then they realize what they had and they lost it, and then and that loss is maybe the catalyst to what's going to light the fire under their butt to change. And if not, then they're not going to change, and they're going to continue to repeat the pattern of the cycle of cheating. So I would say that, like, it's we all as a society, I think, could benefit from meeting ourselves where we're at. Also meeting our younger selves too. Doing the inner childhood trauma. I mean, I dealt with that. I've gone through therapy where I've talked about, because I was bullied when I was younger. I've been bullied in my 20s, my early 20s and late 20s. I was bullied back when all this stuff, like 2022, 2021. Um, and it's funny, I was mainly bullied because I was like a prude. I didn't flirt with my coworkers. I didn't talk about my personal life. Um, and now I'm stronger because of it. Let me tell you, if a girl ever bullied me again, I'd be like, girl, shut the fuck up. Not to be rude, I'd be like, in this day and age, we need to like band together. We need to don't, it shouldn't be about, oh, but she's prettier than me. Oh, she's tanner than me. Oh, her husband's hotter than my boyfriend. No. Women, especially today with reproductive health, women's rights, um, just everything, we need to empower one another. I always say in interviews that literally, if there's a woman who knows more than me, who's in a more advanced position, I'm not going to be her competition. I want to sit next to her because she got to where she was because of hard work, because of self-study, whatever. And that's what I'm going to do. That's what I think. That's my opinion. And like I said, I've been on the receiving end where if I've been in toxic workplaces where I've almost been ousted and fired from a position because of silly adolescent banter from women that were not adolescents but were grown ass women. I don't work at that place anymore. I left that place, but it was an indication of the level of maturity on their end, because instead of championing me and saying, hey, and they knew I was going through a rough time because I shared that with them, but instead of saying, hey, we're going to show her the ropes and build her up and help her, they were basically, it was like almost like being stabbed in the back. I was basically being spoon fed honey but being stung by a bee, essentially. And so I took it upon myself. I go, I don't deserve this. I didn't speak up about it, but I did end up speaking to the girl personally. I texted her and I was like, hey, you know, I didn't appreciate what and she acted like she was nonchalant, like she didn't know or do anything or whatever. But you know, people are in your life for a reason, a season, a lifetime. But let me get back to the singlehood thing. Um, but work on parts of yourself. I encourage you, get a journal, um, listen to a meditation. Um, and if you're like, oh my God, that's so silly. No, it's not, because you could be missing out on your amazing life partner, soulmate, because you haven't done the inner work. Because what's going to happen is if you don't do the inner work, you're going to come across someone, right? Let's say you're a woman and you didn't do the healing, the work. And when I mean the work, I mean the stuff that hurts, getting deep, getting like going through catharsis, right? I'm sorry, I have a band-aid on my thing because again, I have dry skin, so this helps keep it moisturized. Um, and what's going to happen is you might one day come across a guy who does have his shit together. And because you didn't focus on building how to build trust with people again, how to state your boundaries, right? To have stronger boundaries. Um, you can either lose somebody, right? Or you can get into another toxic, abusive relationship or connection. and be gaslit, manipulated, coerced. Um, you don't want that. That's not what you want. So I strongly encourage, like, do yourself a favor. Like, and if you're someone, you're like, oh, I can't afford therapy. If you're on like Medicaid or if you're whatever, trust me, there's ways to do it. Some people may even do a sliding scale and offer you that. Um, Brightside Health is actually, so Brightside Health takes Medicaid, by the way. They're really wonderful. I have nothing bad to say about Brightside Health. Um, because I tried BetterHelp and now I'm doing Brightside Health, which is Brightside, I guess. And it's a really nice platform too. I love the color blue. It's very peaceful. I'm wearing blue today because it's a peaceful color, and it has polka dots because I like polka dots. So, anyways, yeah, take the time to cultivate, like literally, and enjoy singlehood, because one day, guess what? I'm gonna paint a picture for you. One day, your life may change completely, and you're gonna long for the days that you were single, sitting on a couch drinking a glass of rosé, watching Wipeout, or The Night Agent, because I watched The Night Agent, or Emily in Paris, or The Gilmore Girls, or whatever other show, on Netflix or Disney Plus, right? Which reminds me, I have to finish Handmaid's Tale. um Even though it's a very dark and dramatic show, I think it'd be a good show to watch. um, but one day you're going to have, mouths to feed, babies who are going to be screaming, crying at 3 a.m. for you to give them your breast milk, or, um, a husband that maybe has an insatiable sex drive and is going to want you 24/7, to be topless and, walk around the kitchen with just an apron, like, and you're going to be like, but I'm tired and I have cramps and I feel like shit and I don't want to, so, or on the flip side again with kids, like, you're going to be having to make lunches, or go to PTA school meetings and then balance work. So, enjoy your singlehood, because it once you have it, it's gone. You're going to be like, but I miss it. Once you have kids, let me tell you, it's like, because I worked with kids. Kids are a full-time job. Being a mom is a full-time job. Funny enough, it's Mother's Day, but being a mom is literally a full-time job. Just like dogs, when I go to the bathroom, I have my dog Bonnie follow me in the bathroom. The same thing happens with who depicts this really well is Taylor Camus, and his wife. Um, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. I feel so bad. I used to watch them all the time. Him and Matt Behrens. Oh my God, what's his wife's name? And I love their stuff. I love their stuff. I can't believe I can't remember. Hold on. Heidi Taylor Camus, Camus, Taylor Camus. I think it's Heidi, right? Hold on. I'm sorry. I need to. Why? Oh my gosh, why? Why, bro? Why? Why? No, that's not it. What? Dude, dad. That's his channel. I'm sorry. I need to figure this out, because when I don't know something, so this is Taylor Campbell. He's really funny. If you haven't checked out his channel, it's really funny. But they actually depict life really well, of what it's like to be a parent and stuff like that. So, you know, when you're like, oh, but I don't want to be single, there's a lot of perks to being single. There's a lot of perks to being, in a relationship with somebody, I think. I mean, I can't speak that too well, because I really haven't had that many. But I feel like an old soul, so I feel like I've been here, I've done that, I know what I want, whatever, so I don't waste my time with other people. Um, so for me, it's like, yeah, like, like, I'm at the point where I'm like, I'm gonna enjoy, because I've come a long way. Like, I literally have come a really long way. I went from being this really shy, mealy mouth, people pleasing wallflower, to slowly and progressively being like, hey, I matter, and then discovering my sensuality and my divine femininity, and learning how to hone in on that and not use it or abuse it, right? Or using your ass, that's what you have, right? like T and A, that kind of thing. If you've ever seen the show A Chorus Line, there's a song called Tits and Ass. Shout out to Chorus Line. Um, that's like a timeless show, another timeless Broadway show. Um, so yeah, if you are a single, do not feel like you're alone, and don't ever latch onto anybody, any man or anything like that, out of like fear, loneliness, desperation, because you are, there's this whole thing that's going around, like they say don't settle because you're literally someone's dream girl. It's true though. It's true. The same thing could be said for men. Don't settle for that girl that's like, you know, she's there and she does it for you, you know. Go back to, I'm gonna leave you with this. Remember what Olivia Rodrigo's lyric where she says, how could I ever trade something that's good for what's right? And let me tell you, that is such a vulnerable lyric, because she's literally saying, I'm scared. What that, the subtext, the underlying subtext of that lyric, or that sentence, that line is, I'm scared to leave something that I know works and it's good, but it's not ideal. It's not what I really, really want. But it's okay. It does the trick. It, like, you know, um, that's kind of where I'm coming from, is like, would you rather settle for what you know is okay and it's mediocre and it checks off the box, but would you rather be like, oh my gosh, I want to strive for gold. I want to go for the person, not like the perfect person, but someone who you know checks off all the boxes, right? You know, I call it the trifecta. You have the physical sexual chemistry, you have the emotional chemistry or the intimacy, and you have the mental, right? All of those work together in tandem to create, and the spiritual too. I don't want to forget the spiritual, but to create a really, I think, great relationship with somebody. But I think ultimately the best relationship you need to have is the one with yourself, because you can't rely on your partner to heal parts of you, right? You can't rely on your partner to make you feel adequate, right? Because if you're going to look to your partner for external validation, then you're not really a good partner. You're just using them to fulfill your ego, right? To give you an ego boost. You don't want that. If you need an ego boost, then first of all, you need to find the parts of yourself and say, hey, I like this, and this part of me. You shouldn't need another person to validate you and say, to make you feel worthy. Because the thing is, what's going to happen in that case is that your happiness and your mood is going to be tied to another person. Meaning, like, you're going to always, think about it. If your mood is always, um, like, is centered around how someone sees you, whether or not someone texts you or writes you, you're going to always be at a loss. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to make this a little less bright. You're going to always be at a loss, because what if that person gets sick one day? What if that person falls out of love with you and breaks up with you? Your world is going to be shattered, because your whole identity is going to be wrapped around this one person, right? And some people, and then that's another thing, when they get in couples, they lose their entire identity completely. They become like a unit, and they become too enmeshed and engrossed in one another. That's why I think both people, you should have separate lives, and you should, you maybe, I don't know, some people don't live together anymore. They're dating and they don't live together. They're married, and that's an interesting concept. That's something new. But some people are happy with it. Um, Ultimately, what it comes down to is what I used to tell my kids in the kids yoga classes when I used to teach in Miami was, we used to end with a mantra. I used to say, we would talk about the three things we're grateful for, right? And then we would say, I would have them close their eyes, and I would say, namaste, and go, I am happy, I am whole, and I am enough. And there is no one person, place, or thing that can bring me happiness, because I am my own happiness. And we would close our eyes and put our hands on our heart, and it would be very healing, because um, when you realize that you don't put the need for external validation outside of yourself, like if you're not like, oh, I need that man to tell me that I'm sexy, I need that man to give me attention so I feel worthy, you're immediately putting all your everything on one person to tell you. Think about that. You're basically separating your sense of self, and you're basically placing your self-worth on a person and how that person treats you, whether they give you attention. That's sad. You don't want to do that. Being single, you're a high value person. You're like, I'm good. I'm good. I'm okay. it would be nice to have somebody, right, in my life, but I'm not going to be like, oh my God, I need to go searching. And let me tell you, it's fun. Like, I can go on the dating app now and there's going to be people, whatever, but I'm not going to go because some of them are going to be time wasters or fillers, and they're just going to, talk and try to create some idea of a connection. But when you have emotional intelligence, when you have high EQ, and you could read people like a book, it does make dating hard, I'm going to be honest. But it doesn't have to be. And also, when you work on yourself, you're going to end up, I think, I'm curious to see if this works. You're going to end up attracting someone who is a vibrational match to you. I feel like my hair is so greasy, but um, so don't settle. Make Olivia Rodrigo proud. I am an Olivia Rodrigo fan, I'm going to be honest. Her album, Sour, was it Sour? What was the first? Oh my God! I should no, not Sour. I'm sorry. I doubt Olivia Rodrigo doesn't know me from Adam, and I felt bad. I was like, she won't know. But her first album is Sour. The second album is Guts. I don't know if it's like Guts Spilled. She had a deluxe version, but her album Guts got me through all of 2024 completely. When I was in Virginia from like the latter half of 2023 to 2024, it like that woman's album saved me because I was like, oh my God, I was like, this is like her songs were my anthem. I think Taylor Swift's album also, the new, oh my God, I feel so stupid. Why can't I? Oh, Midnights. My soul. I was like, how could I not remember this? That was when I moved to Philadelphia, and that was a good album, bro. Like it was a good, like Lavender Haze, Maroon, um, Midnight Rain, Snow on the Beach, Paris, High Infidelity. I know I did not go to the Eras tour. Um, I wanted to. There was at one point I wanted to, but no, I did not. I got to see it on Netflix though, or Disney Plus or whatever, wherever it was. It was really good, and I loved her costumes too. And I love. Oh my God, when she sang the song "All Too Well," like the 10-minute version, bro, that was so good. Anyways, I'm not gonna like geek out over that. I meant to talk about. She was. If you want someone a good role model for how to embrace singlehood, watch how she navigated whatchamacallit, the era where she was what's the song? The 22. I should know the words to this because that was like one of my favorite songs. One of my favorite. So if we're gonna talk about Taylor Swift moment, um, Long Live, obviously Fearless, Hey Stephen. I haven't listened to her music in a long time, but I used to a lot. Um, but there's a song too. 22, I know that live me next to you. You don't know about me, but I guess you wanted to. So that one, that's a fun song. And if you are struggling, let me tell you, if you are struggling with being single, music helped me. It helps me so much to this day. Like, um, there are songs that are like 22, Shake It Off. Shake It Off is such a good like anthem. Like if I go to I have my, I'm sorry, I'm just not used to wearing my hair down. I'm used to wearing my hair in a bun or a braid or half up, half down, so it's weird for me. Um, where is my happy playlist? I think I mentioned my happy playlist before. Oh, I recommend. So I have let me tell you, this was on my sexy spicy bucket list. I created, it's called my Bad Bee Inner Goddess. I'm such a dork, bro. I literally called it it's Bad Bee, so means bad bitch. My Bad Bitch Inner Goddess playlist. So if you look at some of the people like I have Ariana Grande here, I have Beyonce on here, I have Cardi B, I have Kehlani, Taylor Swift, more Cardi B, Tinashe, Missy Elliott. Is the Doja Cat song on there? Oh, Paint the Town Red. Bitch, I said what I will say though, as a performer, I think she's great, but I was kind of confused with the whole when I saw Paint the Town Red, I'm like, bro, that was kind of scary. Like, or the demon song. She's like, how my demons look now that my pocket's full. I'm like, bro, she like dressed up as a freaking like thing and climbed the walls. I'm like, that was a little scary. But I do think she is talented. But I was kind of like, bro, that's a little scary to me. And she's so beautiful. Like Doja Cat is a beautiful woman, and like you know, and you could tell she owns her like her feminine prowess and whatnot. But I was low key kind of scared of that video. I was like, bro, I was like, is she summoning the demons? Like, is Satan gonna like pop out and like? I'm like, bro, I don't want to see that. Like, I know artists push the boundaries and they kind of want to get in your face for shock value, but like, but it is a she does to I think it's the Dionne Warwick song "Walk On By." That's the beginning part, but she does have this like sassiness. So my point is, anyways, I made a sassy, badass whatever playlist, and some songs I have on here are 3435 by Ariana Grande. There's also a remix with Megan Thee Stallion, Doja Cat, and where, bro, if I don't have, okay, hold on, let me